The rain had started early that morning, a soft pattering against the windows of the Parker family's lakeside cottage in Michigan. The sky outside had turned a gentle shade of gray, casting a peaceful hue over the pine trees that surrounded the quiet retreat. Inside, the Parker family was in no rush. It was the perfect day to stay in pajamas, sip cocoa, and let the rain play its symphony on the rooftop. 12-year-old Lily Parker sat cross-legged on the living room floor, her sketchbook balanced on her knees, a mug of warm cider by her side. Her younger brother, 7-year-old Noah, had built a pillow fort between the couch and the armchair, complete with battery-powered fairy lights and a stack of picture books. Their golden retriever, Max, snoozed nearby, his head resting on a blanket. Their parents, Natalie and James, sat at the kitchen table, sipping coffee and reading quietly. The atmosphere was peaceful, wrapped in the cozy stillness that only a rainy day could bring. But today wasn't just any rainy day. It was the day Natalie had promised Lily something special. For months, Lily had been fascinated by stories of Colleen Moore's Fairy Castle, a legendary dollhouse filled with history, magic, and imagination. And today, Natalie had decided it was the perfect day to share something even more special, a dreamy storytelling journey that would take them all the way to that fairy castle. "Lily," Natalie called softly from the kitchen. "Would you like to go on a little adventure today? A rainy day kind of adventure." Lily looked up, her eyes lighting up with curiosity. "Where to?" "To Colleen Moore's Fairy Castle," Natalie replied, standing up and brushing crumbs from her sweater. "Not the real one, of course. But I think we can visit it in our own way." Lily's eyes grew wide with excitement. "Can we really?" "With a little imagination," Natalie said, smiling. "Gather your blanket, grab your brother, and let's meet in the den." 10 minutes later, the entire family was nestled in the den, which had been transformed into a magical space. Natalie had strung up more fairy lights, lit a few flameless candles, and brought out a tray of snacks: popcorn, marshmallows, and slices of apple with cinnamon. The rain continued to fall outside, soft and steady, as Natalie opened a large book with gold-trimmed pages. "This," she began, "is the story of a most extraordinary place, a fairy castle built by a woman named Colleen Moore, who believed that magic should be shared and dreams could live inside even the smallest of spaces." The children leaned in as Natalie began to tell the tale, her voice like a soft melody that wove itself between the raindrops and the twinkling lights. "Long ago, in the golden age of Hollywood, there lived a woman named Colleen Moore. She was a famous actress, known for her sparkling eyes and vibrant smile, but what made her truly magical was her deep love for stories and imagination. Colleen believed that fairy tales were not just for children. They were for anyone who dared to dream. So she decided to build something truly one of a kind, a fairy castle, unlike anything the world had ever seen. She called upon master craftsmen, artists, and architects, and together they spent years creating a miniature castle filled with wonder. Every room was detailed, delicate, and dazzling. There were chandeliers made of diamonds, tiny paintings by famous artists, a library filled with miniature books, and a grand ballroom with silver floors that sparkled in the light. Colleen traveled across the world to gather treasures for the castle: tiny hand-woven rugs from the East, teeny furniture from Europe, and magical trinkets from places only found in fairy tales. But the castle wasn't just a dollhouse. It was a sanctuary of dreams. And it had a very special rule. Only those with pure hearts and big imaginations could truly see its magic. Lily closed her eyes as her mother described the castle, imagining herself walking through the front gates of the tiny palace. In her mind, the rain outside became a gentle mist, and she could feel herself stepping into a storybook world. She was no longer just Lily Parker, the girl stuck inside on a rainy day. She was now Princess Leora of the Enchanted Lakes, about to visit the most famous fairy castle in the land. The castle's golden gates opened with a whisper, and Lily, Princess Leora, stepped inside. She gasped at the sight before her. The entrance hall was grand and glowing, with marble floors the size of coins and silk drapes that shimmered like water. Little fairies flitted from chandelier to chandelier, giggling softly as they carried golden ribbons and sparkles in their wake. A tiny guide appeared, no taller than Lily's thumb. She wore a gown made of flower petals and introduced herself as Thimble, keeper of the castle. "Welcome, princess," Thimble said with a curtsy. "We've been expecting you. The castle is alive today because you've brought your heart and dreams with you. Come, there's much to see." As Natalie continued the story aloud, Lily's mind wove its own magical movie. Thimble led her through each room, showing her the royal kitchen where brownies baked themselves and the ballroom where crystal slippers twirled across the floor without anyone wearing them. In the music room, instruments played lullabies on their own, and in the tower library, books whispered their stories aloud when touched. Noah, curled under his blanket, imagined himself as Sir Nolan, brave knight and dragon whisperer. He rode on the back of a flying squirrel, soaring over the castle towers and through the clouds. Max, now snoring softly at their feet, was transformed in their minds into Sir Barkley, the loyal hound who guarded the drawbridge and barked at shadows only he could see. James, watching them all, leaned back and marveled at the spell his wife had cast, not with potions or wands, but with the power of words. The rainy afternoon had become a portal, and through it, they were all journeying together. In the story, Princess Leora reached the heart of the castle, the Dream Chamber. This was the most sacred room of all, where people's biggest hopes and deepest wishes were kept safe. In the center of the room stood a glass dome, inside of which swirled stars and clouds, memories and moments. Thimble turned to Leora and said, "Everyone who visits the fairy castle gets to place a dream inside. It will be protected here, for all of time." Leora took a deep breath. She thought of her dream, not just to visit magical places, but to always keep her imagination alive, even when she was older. She closed her eyes and whispered it to the wind. A tiny star floated from her chest and joined the others beneath the dome, glowing gently as it found its place. Outside the window, the rain still fell, soft and steady. In the den, Natalie closed the book and looked around. The lights twinkled, the candles flickered, and a peaceful hush fell over the room. "Can we go back again?" Noah asked sleepily, his voice muffled under the blanket. "You can go back any time," Natalie said softly. "The fairy castle is always there, in your heart and in your dreams." Lily smiled and hugged her knees, still wrapped in the warmth of the story. "I think I'll draw it. Maybe build one someday." James stood and stretched. "You know, Colleen Moore once said that the castle wasn't just for play, it was meant to inspire. Looks like it worked."